Welcome back to the DreamHack Summer HCT Grand Prix, where it is time for the final round of the Swiss. It's round 9, and playing are going to be Scacc versus Muzzy. Joining me for this game is, of course, my good friend, Lorinda. Oh, you're looking very happy now.
I am very happy. Seeing the Muzz come all the way over here to play and massively in contention makes me very happy. People haven't travelled well across the Atlantic traditionally for DreamHacks, but this time around, the Muzz, if he can win this in this win and in, we are going to see him in the top 16 again.
Yeah, Muzzy's got some points to prove as well. He did win DreamHack Montreal. He did. And I'm sure he wouldn't be averse to winning another one.
He won Copa as well this season, the second season of Copa Americas. So that's one tour stop and one DreamHack in the last 12 months.
Right, so he's won one of each. Now why not win one of both?
Yeah, at the same time. Get those points that Tempo Storm are starting to urgently need, with F2K marching up all the leaderboards right now.
I don't think we talk about the points necessarily enough, or rather what the points actually get for the players, but it's actually a lot of different avenues to success. It's the team standings that Lorinda just referenced a moment ago. It's entry to playoffs. It's entry, or previously entry to the country's Hearthstone Global Games team, and it's progress towards the Gold Star Masters, you know, the ability to be a salaried Hearthstone pro player. There's a lot of reasons to want to get these HC points.
Yeah, we haven't been talking about the Masters much at all in previous events because the lowest level is 150 points. It's spread over 3 seasons, so with this being the first time really we've done it, this is only season number 2, but we're starting to mention it a bit now because players are starting to get towards that 150 points.
Yeah, people were saying before, leading into these seasons, you know, it couldn't be done. What are you talking about, Blizzard? There's no way anyone can achieve the 3-star Masters. But hey, look at Hunter Ace. Look at these top players. Look at Fino. There's so many of them that actually do have a good shot of getting there.
Yeah, I mean, they're over 100 points already, some of them, and you know, 150 to get to that Masters 1. We're going to see those people have that really, really soon, and it's going to be fun to find out how that turns out.
Yeah, it's just something that everyone wants. Everyone would love to just play a video game for a living and get salaried just for doing what you're doing, just for achieving what you've already achieved. I mean, we're talking about a salary here without having to continue to go to tournaments. Obviously, the players will be, but it's a way of being secure in their job as a Hearthstone pro player. And that is, I think it's an initiative that we should really be you know, thanking Blizzard for. It's a way that we're going to get this continued success and something we can all celebrate.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's also going to be easier for the casual viewers in particular, but also for casters in particular. Say, hey, this guy's a 2-star master, and you know what that means. You will know what that means. You probably haven't got a clue right now because we just haven't described it very well. But down the line, people know a 2-star master is blooming good. 3-star master is, you know, super good.
I think the Blizzard esports team has really helped to lay the foundations this year, at the start of this year, as to what we can expect moving forward from Hearthstone esports. They've, you know, they've planted the seeds which are now going to grow and flourish as players do hit these Star Masters, as we do see who the very best players are, regardless of their stream success. That is something else entirely. We want to see these players for their tournament performances, for their ladder grinding, and see what really top-level Hearthstone is all about.
Yeah, and something we're starting to see now, we're into the middle of the first year of tour stops, is the same players over and over again doing extremely well. It's not just statistical mess now. It is the same people every single time in that top 60, or in competition with that top 16, like the top 50 or so.
I mean, there are thousands and thousands of players entering these tour stops, entering the qualifiers for the tour stops, traveling to these various places. But you must have noticed by now, if you've been watching several of these things, we're saying, oh, look, this player's doing well. He was in the finals of this, this, and this, or he was in top 4 of this, this, and this. This is no coincidence. These players are really, really good.
Yeah, I haven't updated my latest crazy spreadsheet, but I think when I've stuck the career stats on there, we're going to have over 5,000 unique players this year alone.
That's insane.
Who have played in a competitive HCT event. You know, not to mention all the people who maybe went to Challenger Cups, which I'm not tracking, which is a way in if you're your first season in particular, or you've never been to a big HCT result, you can go in via Challenger Cups. There's hundreds of those events, all with several things. But the talking is over. Let's have a look at these picks and bans for Scacc and Muzzy.
Focusing in on this game, we've got Muzzy banning Scacc's obviously even Shaman. I say obviously as that seems to be the common build, at least the successful one that we're seeing all these top players bringing. And Muzzy's even Warlock has been banned, which isn't any big surprise. That does leave both players with their druids, both of which are the Taunt Druid, which we've seen dominating from all over the shop. Scacc is also running Odd Rogue, which we just saw from Show and from some other players over the course of the day. It's not Miracle Rogue. And we'll also be seeing his Cube Warlock.
Oh, interesting.
Not even from him. He's running a very similar lineup to Show, the sort of different version to what's become very common. Muzzy, on the other hand, he does have the Recruit Hunter, and he will have the Miracle Rogue. So very different lineups entirely, actually, despite some similar classes. I'm looking forward to this game, Lorinda. Let's take a look at the opening mulligans.
And as you can see there, we have the opening mulligans coming up in just one moment.
Just taking a quick look at the Swiss round as we jump in out of the game.
Okay, so a lot of people have played Rogue have chosen to open with it. That's because two reasons. First of all, well, the main reason is I think people think it can sweep.
Yeah.
But it's obviously complex. It depends exactly what you think your rest of your lineup is going to do. Sometimes Rogue is in there as a counter deck. But I think that Muzzy might just fancy this Rogue, has a chance of going through Odd Rogue, Taunt Druid. He doesn't want to get it into the Odd Rogue, I guess. So, okay, so if he doesn't queue into Odd Rogue at the first, he gets, the opponent queues the Odd Rogue into this. Then he gets to play the Taunt Druid into the opposing Odd Rogue. I think he wins 3-2 in his mind if he avoids the Odd Rogue in game one.
Well, it's paid off for Muzzy. This is a fairly favorable matchup for the Miracle Rogue. Saps and Valspine Slayers do tend to be pretty good against taunts, and he is running, he's one of the quite a few players in this tournament running Questing Adventurer as well, which can only be beneficial against Taunt Druid. It's an extra threat that can hit the board nice and early and grow to some pretty extreme levels.
Yeah, it just gets out of hand. It never gets out of hand because your opponent has to waste a turn killing it. But basically, it's a card that says, get one more mana, get the board back next turn, because your opponent wastes so much time messing around with it. And then, like you say, if it does go unchecked, it gets those extreme levels and just destroys the opponent. So, as we wait for this to resolve.
There we go. He goes with the armor. Buffing up the Spellstone actually does seem incredibly vital against Miracle Rogue nice and early. It's a way of dealing with that Hench Clan Thug, Faldori Striders, all of the many 4/4s that Miracle Rogue end up playing as Elven Minstrel going to fill up Muzzy's hand with lots of valuable goodies.
Yeah, interesting that he went that route as well. Obviously, your opponent's not going to use the removal on it, so you get to sneak a 3 damage in.
Yeah, I wonder if that was just Muzzy thinking to himself, well, Scacc it would have been very unlikely that he gained the armor if he didn't have spells.
Exactly, so why walk into it? Here's a 3/2, do you want to kill that with your spell, or do you want to not kill it? If you don't kill it, I'm going to hit you for 3, and if you do, I'm going to drop a 4/4 next turn.
Yeah, very, very nice way to go with that turn. And it does put Scacc in a bit of an awkward position. He can nourish, that does seem like a little cheaty way of taking advantage of this turn. But instead, you just drop a 5-mana 4/6. That's not too bad either.
It's sometimes when your opponent does that sort of play, you just realise, oh, I see why this guy's good already. It's not a completely unobvious turn or anything, just you suddenly dawns on you, the things that work on ladder where you buff up your Spellstone and kill their thing. When you're against these high-level opponents, they know that's what you're doing. And sometimes, not always, they find a cheeky play like this to get around it a little bit.
The other advantage to the cube this turn is that Muzzy just used the coin, so he's not going to be able to coin out a Valspine Slayer and deal with this quickly and efficiently. If the cube gets sapped, it will probably pick up value later on. So I think it is a nice roadblock for Muzzy. Yeah,
it's a really good idea to just occupy against Rogue. You don't need to be cubing Hadronoxes and messing around later in the game. You're going to win if you get to stick a dragon. You know, your first one gets sapped or killed, your second one might get killed, your third one is just going to stick, and Hadronox from there on in will just win you the game on one attempt. So yeah, 4/6 is just a decent way of slowing your opponent down.
Muzzy, meanwhile, just drawing his entire deck, or rather every minion from his deck.
So interesting to see how this goes for Muzzy now as he goes into these middle turns, because turns 5 and 6 are really awkward for Rogue when they have a lot of 4 drops and 3 drops in their hand. The numbers don't add up nicely. You have to start being creative, so you spend your mana wisely. And if Rogue's not spending its mana wisely, it's not doing what Rogue does.
Yeah, it's not even important for him to squeeze in a dagger at any given time because his current weapon has 2 durability
It's
left.
not like a Hunter hero power where actually the extra 2 damage is worth the 2 mana. It's just not with Rogue.
Wow, Scacc actually having to swipe one of these Elven Minstrels and hero power down the other one. Yeah, okay, great. That's a swipe that's not hitting an Auctioneer, it's not hitting a Spider, it's not hitting a Hench Clan Thug. Muzzy's Elven Minstrels did their jobs very well there.
Yeah, Scacc doing a good job of looking after his cube as a defensive unit. So Muzzy's being forced to waste mana for a turn or 2 here, and because there's a cube and still the Spellstone hasn't been sort of sucked out, Muzzy, I'm looking at this naturalized thinking you can use this. You don't give Muzzy any extra cards. He's going to draw one next turn anyway. Yeah, he's managing to keep Muzzy on a level playing field, which is all he's got to do for a few more turns.
Okay, Scacc going to just go ahead and draw with the Nourish. That's interesting. I guess he didn't really have any ways of generating more value in his hand apart from the 1 Ferocious Howl, so maybe ramping up the mana was somewhat risky, even though he did have the Sleepy Dragon as a good play on turn 9. It's a strange way to go about it. Regardless, Spellstone on the Feldori Strider is looking pretty good to me, and Scacc still in an okay position. Muzzy's going to need to do something aggressive and fast, actually, if he wants to win the game here.
Just wonder about his naturalized.
Yes, that is certainly
just
an option.
seriously considering whether you can just use this now before Muzzy has a chance to empty that hand. And so if you think you're ever going to use it as removal, you do it now. If you think you're never going to use it as removal and you're going to use it as a win condition, that's absolutely fine too. But if you're going to use it as removal, that was the turn to do so.
It would have even had the chance of burning some of those.
I mean, literally,
items.
Muzzy would have just drawn 1 card, yeah. Burn some spiders.
He'd have drawn a card, he'd have burned the other one, and then burned the card he drew the next turn. If a spider got burnt, that's actually pretty relevant for
But then if
Scacc.
a spider got drawn, it could have attacked the turn it came into play, kind of, so...
True. It would have had to be the first draw, but yeah, you're right, that was equally likely.
But here's Muzzy's plan all along. Get rid of that Spellstone and then make some Hench Gang Thugs.
Yeah.
They're pretty hench.
They are hench and thug-like.
A well-named card indeed. Well done, Blizzard.
And now, thanks to Muzzy's very careful playing of the Elven Minstrels earlier, and Scacc having to use his removal to protect this cube, he's going to struggle to deal with these. He can put the cube into one, he could naturalize the other, but that's the only guaranteed way of removing both. Instead, he's going to drop the Lich King, and I think I like this a little bit more. However, he has to know that Vilespine Slayers and Saps must be on the table, or at least one of them must be present in Muzzy's hand.
They are, but Muzzy hasn't got an activator at the moment that he can afford to play.
This
it's
turn.
actually kind of funny. Yeah.
This turn, guaranteed he draws one.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a high chance. What, there's 1 Auctioneer that isn't an activator? There's not much else. Probably a second Thug.
Okay.
Ambush.
Oh, no!
Wow. That's not the plan Muzzy had in mind.
There's no way of cleaning up this turn either, is there?
No, it's an absolute mess for Muzz. Well, he can use a Leroy creatively, maybe.
Oh, yeah, okay. Or he could Feldori Strider SI7 agent to deal with the cube and leave the Lich King alive, which...
The Leroy idea just looks bleak.
It all looks bleak. Yeah, I mean, this is the play he has to go with, but a second Death Knight card is not what Muzzy wants in Scacc's hand.
Yeah, not at all. And, well, now Scacc has a... I mean, first of all, he must be wondering what on earth is going on.
Okay, now this has to be trade cube naturalize, right?
With double Lich King action.
Kill the Hench Clown Thug.
Good.
End up with 2 8/8s on the board. Muzzy couldn't deal with one of them last turn.
Right.
The chances he can deal with both.
And he's got more minions this time, but you're right. I think that looks decent. You don't want to play just a cube and not naturalize because sap.
Or even obliterate. If he's not worried about his health total, that can be played instead of the naturalize. If he doesn't want Muzzy to draw cards. Obviously, there's the risk of Muzzy getting spiders, essentially with charge, if they're summoned on Scacc's own turn.
See what he decides to go with. That he's just going to put down big things.
Okay.
Fair enough.
I can respect that.
He knows there wasn't a sap, but if this one is drawn, he's going to be in a lot of trouble here.
Frostmourne is very strong, and there's an activator for the Vilespine Slayer. Finally, in fairness, the Questing Adventure or the SA7, oh sorry, the Edwin Van Cleef are also activators for Vilespine. Going to go with that. There's no point in playing Backstab if he's going to kill it immediately anyway. And now, Muzzy has a very tight grip on this board. I have loved watching his game plan as this game has progressed.
Yeah, very much so. It's been interesting to see how he played around the Spellstone in the opening, how he filled his hand up with things to do, how he survived for a couple of turns, those awkward turns, and now how he's leaping into action with plenty of gas in hand. He's going to need it, though.
He's not a gold shy of Footman, Neil. Ready for action.
Ready for action. He could be.
He's a gold shy of Muzzy.
I like how you just ran out of ideas halfway through that. That's just took the L like a man. Well done. And Scacc's got to prioritise here. Obviously, the questing is the most difficult thing, but how much do you want to get rid of the other minions? How much damage can you afford to take if you equip Frostmourne?
Time waits for no one.
Oh, it's dicey territory with no Hadronox present. Scacc would love to draw Master Oakheart. Just some way of getting himself a big board presence.
So what he's doing is he's just playing taunt after taunt. So if he draws the Hadronox, he wins the game. That was the play here. But there is the sap that's been coming for a while.
Okay.
And with Auctioneer sap present here as an instinctive play, there's other plays available too involving Edwin. There's also just hit people with Leroy.
Lorinda, are you ready for a miracle? Muzzy's not, so.
I'm not ready for a miracle, apparently.
This is
But it's not Muzzy who needs the miracle.
This isn't bad either.
Scacc's the one needing the miracle right now. And I don't know if there's one present for him.
Waiting with bated breath to find out, but
Here we go.
Muzzy's taking all of that time just to work out if he wanted to hit him with the dagger on.
I mean, there's no hurry.
Scacc
It's either right or it's wrong, so use the time to make sure you get the right one.
Scacc's just sitting there trying, like, hoping that there's a way out of this. Dragon Hatcher, not the card that he will have wanted to draw. He does have Branching Paths, he does have Ferocious Howl, so he has a lot of armor potential.
Right.
But is that good enough, even?
I mean, if he could buy one more turn and draw Hadronox, it could be. There's a sap in Muzzy's hand, so probably not. Can he even get a turn?
He'd be gaining 10 armor with the Ferocious Howl alone. He can gain another 12 with the Branching Path. So that is 32 health in total.
That's good enough then.
That is good, but it's not going to last that long if he's got nothing.
No, it gets him like one turn. And then it's a case of what's he got? A 4/12, a Lich King.
Spiders would be a disaster here.
Waits for no one.
Spider no. Spider no.
All right.
And if he'd used that Naturalize earlier and saved the Spellstone for this situation, it would have been the same outcome, but Muzzy would have drawn fewer cards.
Yep. Try to obliterate the Fedora Strider. Okay, using a lot of his resources here. Oh, that didn't quite... Yeah, wait, did he squeeze that card in or not?
There's been a few, yeah.
No, he didn't. He's going to have to find out what the extra card draw is next turn. In the meantime, Muzzy, he's got to be ready for a miracle now, right?
Let's see.
I'm definitely ready for a miracle.
Yeah, I mean, he can't play the sap. The Fan of Knives isn't much use, and nor is the backstab, so that's the downside to that. But he's just going to go for it anyway, because why not? Buddha. Extra sap. That's a really good insurance policy for him. Feels that it's worth drawing another card. Yep, it was.
These spiders were a little bit higher up on the deck.
Cold blood. This is going to hurt.
Oh my goodness. All of the spiders coming at once.
Has come out of the deck and ambushed Scacc.
Again, imagine if these were a few cards higher up, though. They would have essentially had charge, and Muzzy may have had lethal that turn.
Yeah, that would have been more than an ambush. That would have been just insane.
Ultimate infestation.
I can see.
as Scacc gives it up. Muzzy does take the win with the Miracle Rogue, as we all expected. Great performance. Though his game plan was so unique, it was so different to anything else I've seen recently. Starting with the Alva Minstrel, playing around the Spellstone, baiting out the swipe first, and then putting the hard hitters down later on. It was very well played, and Scacc is going to have his work cut out for him. He's got Cube Warlock and Odd Rogue remaining. Lorinda, which one do you think he plays next?
Cube Warlock versus Rogue can get those heavy hits in early. But the Odd Rogue is just brutal. Miracle Rogue cannot deal with it in any way or form most of the time. Just aggro decks in general are why Miracle Rogue isn't played more, especially on ladder.
Right.
At the non-legend ranks in ladder, loads of people play aggro to get to legend quickly, and Rogue just suffers enormously. You're likely to find out why in this particular game. It doesn't have any healing, it doesn't have any taunt, so damage inflicted early, which is a lot, sticks for the whole game. And with nothing to get in the way, you can't do what happened to Show and Akawanda last game, where you can sort of stabilize. There's no stabilization with Miracle Rogue. You just keep getting hit by things. Both
players have reasonable opening hands, though. You'd expect the Odd Rogues to be better, and you can definitely argue it is. However, Preparation Fan of Knives for Muzzy can help to make all of the difference when backed up with a backstab or an SI7 agent or something.
I mean, Muzzy's hand is extremely good here, but when you're starting to get hit with vicious fledglings from turn 2 onwards, you can lose the game in more than a hurry, whatever faster than a hurry is. Really hurry.
I mean, coin into fledgling, Hench Clan Thug isn't even looking necessary this game.
Right, it's just insane. Like, Muzzy will be quite happy that his hand is capable of fighting to the best of the deck's ability. Just a backstab short is where I was going.
You were saying, backstab, Fan of Knives, Preparation and not even required. Although Preparation could be played this turn anyway to squeeze in the Hench Clan Thug and actually grapple control of the board himself.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is a good enough pickup now that actually Muzzy might have a chance of getting into this.
Yeah, this is working out nicely. He curves into his 4-drop, and then Hallucination can squeeze in with the other 4-drop on the following turn.
Yeah, this is interesting and surprising as well. It looked like he was dead, but I did say he was a back short as he was drawing the backstab, and it's just tied to the hand, and now he's got the board. The fact he's got a really good curve will help him to have a chance. I mean,
however, the deadly poison on the weapon is very strong, giving it precisely 4 attack. It will be able to get through the Faldori Strider as well, and now it is Scacc's turn to get himself onto the board and into Muzzy's face.
It is, but Muzzy's got the sap, he's got a second Strider, so he's going to have some bonus 4/4s at some point in this game. He's weathered the early storm well enough that he's not in danger of just curling up and dying too quickly, which means that if he can get himself some Fan of Knives, which he's used one already, and get himself a mini Auctioneer turn after this second Strider, he might just get lucky enough to go wide, and you know, his 4/4s will trade away with the opponents quite well. But this is the problem.
When they come, doesn't it?
Needs things very soon.
And Faldori Strider cannot be played with the sap this turn, so it's looking to me like he's going to have to play Faldori Strider and Hallucination, in which case the Hallucination comes down first in case he draws something better. Otherwise, it would be, what, sap and dagger up? That doesn't feel good. Ooh. Assassination, I guess, is the best he's got. Oh no, Perdition's Blade.
He's got a decent health total, so Perdition's Blade is tempting here.
That's got to be the one to go for, right?
Takes care of the Thug.
Yeah.
He's got the mana to do it if he wants to do that this turn. Or he can just curve into Assassinate and play the Strider now.
I'm struggling to see a reason not to take the Blade and use it immediately, because it also sets up the weapon for next turn, sort of matching the Odd Rogue in that respect.
I think Muzzy might be looking at using the Blade next turn to take down a couple of things, but you don't want to leave things up going into turn 5. You really don't. The Fungal Mancer is such an integral part of what happens, and he agrees with you and with me.
Exactly.
Kill this off.
The Fungal Mancer is, I think, the big turning point. And again, we have the perfect caster vision. We know it's there. Muzzy does not know it's there for certain. However, he gets there anyway. And yet Scacc's hand just is not running out of stuff anytime
I think
soon.
Scacc's going to be tempted here to just dump minions on the board. Fledgling, Firefly, second part of Firefly, so Flame Elemental, and then just say, next turn, I am going to hit you with a Fungalmancer, and it's going to hurt.
It's definitely going to hurt. When it comes down, that card is definitely going to deal some significant damage. But yeah, Fledgling and both the Firefly and the Flame Elemental looks good enough for me. How does Muzzy ever deal with all 4 of these minions?
Well, he played around Betrayal, which is a good start for Scacc.
Given that 1 Fan of Knives is gone already, there's no chance for the double Fan of Knives. Yeah, he's going to have to deal with the Fledgling.
Yeah, don't die, draw spiders. Is Muzzy's game plan right now.
Yep.
Everything you can is relying on getting a bit lucky and drawing some spiders. You've got an Auctioneer, your chances of getting lucky have gone up. There's 6 spiders in the deck.
It's Fungalmancer time. Let's hit him. Let's hit him hard. Scacc is playing Odd Rogue, and this is what that deck is all about. It's getting these huge power turns. We're looking at 6 damage on the board, then the 4 from the Cold Blood after the Fungalmancer has been played.
You can also play Fledgling SI7 trade. Kill off the 4/4. You've got 2 3/3s. One's a Fledgling. You've got a charging Nightmare in your hand for next turn.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of this is a similar play to that, actually.
Which one is he going with then? The SI7?
So I feel like he's
hand?
saving back the deck hand and for next turn so he can charge with the Fungalmancer. That's my instinct here.
Okay.
But no, he's going to do it this way. Okay.
It looks like he just wants to clear out the 4/4 through any means necessary. And I guess this way, next turn, potentially the Fungalmancer hits the Fledgling, which would be even more of a big deal.
Yep.
Hallucination one more time. What can he get from this? Backstab, again, would be incredible, although not now.
Prep would be nice. There's the Betrayal that's already been played around. He's been playing around it all game for these hallucinations, just in case.
Wow.
Why not? Yeah, it's a habitual placement anyway. It's a placement we actually see costs people against Warrior sometimes when they forget.
Right. Well, if Fungalmancer's not played this turn, I'm going to be very surprised, Lorindo. Fungalmancer and Cold Blood on
Does
Fledgling
seem good.
is potentially so much damage.
I think that's the question. It's, do you want to Fungalmancer the 2/1/2s? Because you know your opponent, if he's got any removal, will put it on the Fledgling. So you give them that's what he's thinking about. It's not, do I play Fungalmancer? It's, where do I put it? Do I want to spread the damage?
I have a much itchier trigger finger than Scacc does.
I think he thinks he's going to win if there's no accidents, and putting everything into one basket is one way to cause an accident. That's what I'm thinking.
It would have been 12 more damage with the Fungalmancer and the Cold Blood, though. And then even more. In fact, it would have just been lethal, I think, because of the other damage I hadn't.
So what he's done is, because he got the Wind Fury, now he's not playing it this turn.
Okay.
So now he's going to use the Fungalmancer next turn because it's a bit safer. I feel like he may have delayed it too long, but look at what's happened here. It's not a bad position to be in.
I guess I'm a little bit optimistic, just assuming the Wind Fury would come and assuming that that would be lethal. But now Betrayal going to do a pretty good job. 2 mana, clear off a 6/5 Wind Fury minion. That's not so bad.
Yeah, the fact that Muzzy is still somehow in this Hearthstone game to some degree is absolutely insane. He's been a bit unlucky not to hit any spiders. I think he's hit 1, but
yeah, I think Scacc is 1 mana off lethal. Is that right? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 11. Yeah. If he had the mana to play Cold Blood, Fungalmancer, SI7 Agent, altogether it would be the lethal.
Right.
I think he's 1 mana off and 1 damage off without that mana. The Fungalmancer plus the Cold Blood.
Yeah, everything
7,
happens
8,
in
9,
2s
13.
with
So yeah.
He needs to make an odd number. Everything happens in even numbers. So definitely not going to have it.
Close though. Again, 1 mana and 1 damage.
But it's a massive difference because now he's got to respect the Edwin.
Yes.
Because he can't deliver lethal, he's got to respect dying on the backswing himself.
Yep. Leroy Jenkins alone would be enough to end Scacc if this Edwin Van Cleef were to survive this turn.
So Scacc now has to waste resources killing the Edwin that he doesn't want to waste. And I do feel this Fungalmancer should have been on the board at some point, but I wouldn't like to say which point. Probably on the turn where he went face with the Fledgling. Yeah. Still, the thing I was saying earlier about the damage sticks on Miracle Rogue, like every time a board is left up as an interesting pickup here.
Are you ready for a miracle, Lorinda?
I'm always ready for the miracles. You know this. Can Muzzy hit some spiders? There's a spider. Can he hit another one? And he's obviously going to use the Eviscerate to clear up bits of the board. Can he hit another spider?
He needs to survive this turn, though. Leroy Jenkins is too late. That is just going to be lethal from Scacc. He's got the Fungalmancer to buff that up to 7 damage, the Cold Blood for 11, the weapon up to 13. Wow, Scacc eventually managed to take it away and take down the Miracle Rogue. I strongly believe it could have happened a little bit earlier. That Fungalmancer did hang around in the hand for a little bit long. However, he got there in the end, and ultimately, that is all that matters. Muzzy did get very close, and I've been very impressed with his Miracle Rogue play. But he is now going to have to move on to the Recruit Hunter or the Taunt Druid.
Recruit Hunter or the Taunt Druid. Taunt Druid just gets stuff in the way so quickly.
Yeah.
Just gains so much armor, survives so much, and as soon as those taunts get there, they just don't get moved. It's bad enough, I mean, I don't think he's got it in his deck, but it's bad enough facing a tar creep when you're playing an aggro rogue, let alone a real taunt minion.
Taunt Druid is just very good at clogging up the board, isn't it?
It really is.
In the mirror, it gets a little bit awkward for that very reason. The board gets clogged up on both sides.
And by awkward, you mean tedious?
Yes, I'm sure that is how the players would look at it sometimes.
It's interesting to play, it's interesting to watch. Seeing 100 of them in a day can be a bit tedious. We haven't seen many today.
Let's look at some Recruit Hunter instead, shall we?
Recruit Hunter. I want to see the exact build Muzzy has of this Recruit Hunter because it fascinates me, basically. So he is not playing any way of putting stuff back in his deck, but he is playing the Spellstone build, which means he's relying on traps for a bit more of a middle game defense, which means that makes a lot more sense to why he queued it.
Yeah.
Because the slower build, the more aggressive build is the slower build, which is really weird.
With the like cube and the...
Yeah.
It is funny how everyone seems to have agreed that the Seeping Oozling is just better to run than Carnivorous Cube. It does the job a little bit more
Except
nicely.
for Zixo. I think it was last week in particular was running Cube. I think he might be back on it now, though.
Okay.
But yeah, it was Tides of Time, as always. Back in the meta, ruining the meta by making new decks for people to have to learn.
He has to come back to Hearthstone with a bang, Lorinda.
He did. He really did.
Speaking of bangs, though, 5-1, 1-1 Divine Shield, or 5-1 Divine Shields even, are pretty good on turn 2.
Yeah, this is why people are not convinced about this deck. Across the board, yeah. I mean, it's a good deck. No one's denying it's a good deck, but the reason it's not in every lineup is this hand. This happens more often than people would like to admit who love the deck.
Yeah, I mean, Stitch Tracker does not contest what Scacc has got in the slightest. Just the weapon deals with the Stitch Tracker, and if Scacc wants to, he can put in the Salty Deckhand as well. 8 damage potentially going into the face this turn, as well as the trade.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for Muzzy to find a way to deal with this. He's just got all of the expensive stuff. But this is why you play, this is going to be annoying for him, because this is why you play the Spellstone build, so this happens a little bit less often with your freezing traps, your explosive traps. He's playing, yeah, he's just not getting anything. Houndmaster Shore might be too late, but at least it plays on curve next turn. But he's going to be dead really soon.
Yeah, that is potentially even an understatement, and we're looking that Scacc has the Fungalmancer in his hand as well, assuming he doesn't hold on to it for a million turns again, which I honestly don't think he will be. Next turn, that is going to get slammed right between the Divine Shields. And
that
Muzzy,
sounds painful, ouch.
It does. It does sound painful, and it looks painful for Muzzy, who has nothing that he can sort of put in the way of it. He has 13 health. The game is coming to a very, very speedy end.
And we're going to go on to game number 4 really soon.
You can't quite make your notes quick enough then.
I can't even work out what on earth to put about this game. Going to put that he was slammed between the Divine Shields, I think.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good summary.
I'm pretty sure that's what Muzzy will be telling us later on when we talk to him about this game.
That's great. He can flanking strike that fledgling. That is the main threat out of the way. Oh, wait, slight problem.
Other than the lethal, yeah, exactly. That other little threat.
Yeah.
It's looming over the horizon.
They are. It's a board full of little threats that have just gotten much, much bigger. That Cold Blood on the Argent Squire pretty much single-handedly won Scacc that game.
Yeah, and this is one of the advantages of playing decks like this in 9 rounds of Swiss, is you're a little bit more fresh than some of the other people who have played 9 rounds of Swiss when you get through them.
Yeah. Blink and you missed that one. Muzzy is now down to only his Taunt Druid. Now, we've seen Taunt Druid do some really great things in this tournament. I was speaking to Derek about this in the last series. I said to him, look, Derek, do you think Taunt Druid has been the best performing deck in this tournament? Of course, he came back at me and said, actually, Dan, I think Miracle Rogue has been the best
He loves his
deck.
Miracle Rogue. Yesterday he was saying it was Mage. Yeah, he always goes back to Miracle Rogue in the end. But there has been very, very little aggro, so that's a very fair point.
Yeah. I mean, everything he said is completely, legitimate. It's all the even Warlocks, the Taunt Druids, which Rogue does just seem to tear through, but not Odd Rogue. Odd Rogue doesn't tear through Taunt Druid, as we are about to head into game number 4, potentially the final game of the series. Once more, I just want to remind everyone watching back home, this is the final round of the Swiss. Win and in, lose and out is the situation that these players are facing. And Muzzy, for Tempo Storm, desperately wants the in. He wants the Hearthstone Championship points.
Players that are already in, assuming that 7 is in, which is pretty close to certain.
I was just told 100% certain whichever of these players makes it in, wins, will be making it in.
That doesn't necessarily mean one below them would on side
That's
breaks,
true,
though. But yeah,
I'm assuming
going with 7 and 2 being almost certainly in. Techno Goose and Pool 8 have got 8 wins. Pool 8 is still playing round 9 for the perfect. Penadani, Akawanda, Boar Control, Fury Hunter, Yanetsky, all on 7 wins. And as more people enter that, I will let you know. As they enter that 7-win situation. I just got it open in front to let you know.
Yeah, we were also just found out, or I just found out that Pool 8 did win his 9th game.
Awesome.
He did go undefeated in the Swiss. Not only that, he won with a sweep. He didn't lose a single game in his final series.
Wow.
Final game record for the Swiss, 27 and 10.
He did say that this time around, after Valencia, where he faded on day 2, he is feeling far more comfortable for that experience, and he learned a lot. He learned a lot of it. He's 9-0 at a DreamHack with an incredibly stacked field. Good for Pool 8. And it's a shame that voting for the Italian team is already closed, because pretty sure that performance alone should get you on the team.
That's a King Mukla. Clearly, I didn't look at Scacc's deck list.
Yeah, you were pointing at deck lists and waving at the screen while I was doing the Pool 8 hype there.
I was just pointing and gulping at this big monkey sitting in Scacc's hand. And, hey, Muzzy can't deal with it.
He can't. I mean, 5-5 for turn 2 can be a bit difficult to deal with. And now Muzzy has got to find a way to hang in there. But luckily for him, Druid just does this thing where it makes gigantic minions.
Yeah, and Scacc can't get over this one easily. Deadly Poison isn't enough on its own to deal with the Ironwood Golem without King Mukla himself having to trade in. Was there a miscalculation there? Because if he had 1 more mana, he could have played the deckhand and traded that in. But if he's trading Mukla in anyway, playing Deadly Poison that turn seemed... Oh, okay, it works this way too. That's fine. All right. He's just done that to get the extra little bit of damage to the face.
Through Muzzy's hand. He's got time, but those bananas are just not going to help him at all for the short term.
Swipe is, though, and so is Wrath. Oh, one of those 2 cards will.
Yeah, they're going to get him to the mid-game, but with no minions.
Well, no minions yet. Muzzy kind of wants to keep it that way. If he can get to turn 9 without drawing any of the minions,
sure,
he's going to have a very strong turn 9, and I think the type of turn 9 that Odd Rogue just cannot come back from.
Sure.
Sorry, I say turn 9. Obviously,
yeah, it's like turn
Druid.
3, really.
It won't be turn 9.
Like, whatever turn... We have a habit of calling turn numbers by mana numbers.
Druid's turn 9, which is more like turn 3 or turn 4, exactly.
Silly Druid.
Oaken Summons for Scacc. Wow, that into King Mukla would have been...
that would have been insane.
Unfortunately, a lot of his deck is going to be pretty weak summoned by Oaken Summons. We're looking at Fireflies, Diamels, Sassy Deckhands, Argent Squires, Blink Fox, SO7 Agent, Edwin Van Cleef. They are all pretty bad.
You don't want any of those. They've all got like battle cry effects, or they're bad.
Fledgling would be okay. Hench Clan Thug would be fine. But that's it. They are the good ones.
So he'll be playing that last, most likely, when he finally runs out of stuff. And Muzzy's just doing a good job of tiptoeing. Well, he's not even tiptoeing, he's racing towards that 9 mana turn. And Scacc has got one of the hands that is why Odd Rogue isn't necessarily regarded as one of the top tier decks.
Yeah. It's okay. Scalebane on its own isn't quite as impressive as it is when it's backing up a Firefly or a Diamol or something,
Yeah.
but Scacc's limited mana isn't allowing for that. I still wonder if he made a mistake earlier on with that Deadly Poison turn. The fact that he hesitated for such a long time after playing it makes me think that he tried to play the deckhand.
And those are the turns where you can mess up, where you've coined the turn before, so you have this instinct that you have more mana than you have. I mean, it's not very often that it happens, but we've seen it once already this tournament. I think possibly even Death Boost thought he had 10 mana. I might be doing him a disservice, but somebody anyway, when they only had 9.
Okay, SO7 Agent was one of the less bad.
Yeah, it's okay. 4 mana, 3/3, gain 6 armor. Blech.
Still not great.
No.
Again, slightly worse than Fledgling and Hench Clan, better than everything else. Scacc's deck is not full of 4 or less mana minions that actually are worth being summoned by Oaken Summons. Muzzy one turn away from Oakheart himself, and that is just going to be a game win right there.
Yeah, it really is. He's got more health than he started with, up to 9 mana against an aggro deck, and he's about to fulfill the prophecy. So basically, I don't know what the prophecy is, except he's going to get a lot of taunt minions.
It's the Lorinda prophecy.
I prophesize on turn 9 with Master Oakheart, good things happen.
Do you want to see Muzzy take this series?
I don't mind, actually. I think I'd like to see both these players do well. But I do think I'd like to see Muzzy, yeah, to go into the top 16. It's so difficult when you travel this distance, and it's not the one tournament. You can definitely do it if you just travel across to DreamHack summer or winter and have a go. The thing is, he's traveling every week to these tournaments.
It's a hard life.
Slowly wears you down.
It does. You were saying just earlier how some of the players say after they come here, yeah, it's a difficult day competing all day. Well, imagine doing that every single weekend in a different part of the world with a different variation of jet lag as well.
Yeah, I mean, you just learn to collapse when you're tired and wake up when your alarm goes off and just see what happens. You end up with this really weird sleeping pattern. I, for one, embrace.
And Muzzy has a very weird sleepy dragon.
Nicely worked. He does indeed.
No Hadronox, unfortunately, but he didn't have a way of suiciding it anyway, which means...
Yeah, just like Muzzy, it's sitting on a pile of gold.
Yeah.
That's just going to be the end of this game of Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Might get one more turn if Scacc can think of some top decks to get him out.
If Scacc had Valspine Slayer able to play right now, he could deal with the Sleepy Dragon fine. He could trade away the Ironwood Golem and get rid of the Dragon Hatcher. And getting rid of the Dragon Hatcher is key there because there are still 2 Primordial Drakes in Muzzy's deck. He's going to be summoning 1 for free each turn.
Oh. Yeah. Can't find any outs, can't work out how to play for outs, and it goes to 2 games apiece. Going to find out which of these players makes it to the top 16.
Yeah, we're going to be ending this series with Cube Warlock versus Taunt Druid. A little bit of an older matchup that, again, we've not seen that much of recently, but we have seen a little bit of it. And it's a very difficult one to call. We saw AKA Wonder versus Show earlier, which was a very strange game where he played Umbra and Faceless to copy Show's cube, which had Sleepy Dragons in. He summoned the Sleepy Dragons immediately. He then played Prince Taldarum on Hadronox later on, cubed that as well. It got ridiculous. I've never seen a game
It went on
with
a
so many
long
taunts
time,
for
that game of
summon.
Hearthstone. It's got to be said.
Inevitably, in the end, the Taunt Druid still took it. I don't think it's an easy matchup for the Cube, unless the Cube Warlock can get the early Skull of the Minari, the early Doom Guards, and an early Gul'dan.
Some players who almost certainly haven't qualified, but they're high tiebreaker 6-3s. There's probably no chance, but Felkin, Just Saying, Death Boost, Vegus, Matty, Scruffy, Hunter Ace, which is him actually getting back into it to get his 4 points, most likely, to be fair.
Right.
Those players are all 6 and 3 and likely to be out going forward.
Oh, wow.
Later has made it to 7 and 2. Later is someone we haven't seen play, but he's been in and out of the top sort of 16 to 20 all the way through. So good to see Later, and we'll find out more about them as we see them in the top 16 later today.
Right. Muzzy, pretty good opening hand. Can't complain about this. Wild Growth into Oaken Summons, into Nourish, into the Lich King. Yeah, that all works out. However, on the other side of things, Scacc got that Skull of the Minari. He doesn't have any Void Lords or Doom Guards just yet, but I don't believe the Druid runs any weapon removal, so that Skull is going to just sit there and do whatever Scacc pleases with it.
There's a thing it can do.
There is a thing it can do. He'd prefer the Doom Guards, and then a Gul'dan full of Doom Guards later on is ideal, but I don't think he'll complain about Void Lord on turn 5 or turn 6.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like something to complain about.
No.
And I should know, I complain about nearly everything else.
You do.
Thanks, Dan.
You're
I'm supposed to say, no, Neil, you're lovely and never heard you complain in my life.
You are lovely, Neil.
It's good that you're honest. Okay. Scacc going to do that thing that you do. Although he's got a decision what to do with his Mountain Giant first. Do you really want a 3-9 when you can have an 8-8?
That is a tough question. And even tougher because if he chooses the 3-9, he still has to wait a turn for it, and he can't even
choose the 8-8. You can have 2 8-8s next turn.
Yes.
If it's still around.
Which I think makes it the quite clear, better play.
Yeah, I think because he's got Gul'dan in hand as well, naturalized concerns aren't so terrible here as well. I know, I quite like making the 8-8 there, but he thought about it long and hard and decides to get the tempo from... Yeah, if you start drawing demons, this just goes out of control. A bit like playing the spiders in the road. But Muzzy's already just playing Lich Kings with the correct amount of mana. Well done, Druid.
What can you say about that? Just
well done, Druid.
Well done, Druid, sure.
Again.
Lich King on 8, Sleepy Dragon on 9 is looking like a pretty good curve. Eventually, he will draw Hadronok or Oakheart.
Yeah.
And at that point, he will completely dominate the board.
Unless it gets faceless.
Unless it gets faceless, in which case both players will try and dominate the board, both with minions that have a lot more health than they do attack, and things get weird.
That was a weird series you just cast. Anyone who didn't see that between Show and AK Wonder, that was an insane series, only about an hour or so ago. The ending.
It was a memorable.
The start was about a week ago. Right, Muzzy now basically already working on how do I want my Hadronok's board to look? And what's the worst thing that can happen to me?
I mean, the obvious play is just throw down Sleepy Dragon.
Yeah.
There's no way he can cube the Lich King and then summon 2 more Lich Kings immediately. So the cube is out of the question this turn. I don't mind just drawing, actually. I don't know what specifically he's looking for. I guess he's just digging for Hadron.
Yeah, just get through your deck and then you've got everything.
Oh, there it is.
There it
okay.
is. I sound like Zalay when I say that. Draw your cards and then you've got all your cards.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Hopefully you understand the sentiment, though, like, obviously getting to Hadronox, if you draw your cards, you've got a Hadronox. Muzzy not messing around here. He's got a decent pool of Lich King and a couple of bits and pieces. He's going to be able to expand that pool over the next couple of turns, drop Hadronox and start doing tasty things. And Lord Mooing.
Death and Decay against a board full of Voidwalkers always looks pretty hot. I like that card against Warlocks.
But you save it for later, for after Gul'dan, maybe?
Yeah, sure.
And then just wipe out half their new board immediately, probably?
I was saying this to Derek earlier. I feel as though across the board, if you really generalize it, I think Death and Decay is the best Death Knight card. Like, the most good in the most matchups with the most decks.
I'm just staring into space.
It's very difficult to actually come up with an answer.
It feels like you get all these cards like twice as often as Frostmourne.
Yeah, Frostmourne's very good as well. But Frostmourne can also just kill you if you play it and you've got...
Yeah, and it's the same as Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead also can just kill you.
That feels like it should be the best one, but in the modern meta, actually, sometimes you don't want to draw 5 cards in one turn.
It's actually bad in a lot of decks, is the problem with that.
Or pointless a lot of the time as well. It's good in Evenlock.
I think it's a very long argument you could have, but in my head, Death and Decay tends to be the best one.
I would never have long arguments about pointless things. Just not my way at all. Oh dear. I think Dan's given the game away with that laugh. Maybe I would.
Scacc just going to copy the 8 for Lich King. No way of... Or he decided it's better than actually dealing with it this turn. It's just create your own. And Obliterate is not too great against Muzzy.
I mean, the problem Scacc has is he knows that Muzzy's a long way through his deck already. He's had that mana advantage, and Scacc has made no impression. Now, he will have the chance to make an impression because of the stuff in hand, But Muzzy, he knows, is so close already to having the Hadnocks. We can see Muzzy's closer than that. He's got the Hadnocks. He's just waiting for the natural eyes to bring everything back. But he's got plenty of time before Scacc can really even hit him once.
Yeah, he's just in a really nice spot here. Death and Decay looks fine just this turn. Hero Power away the Lich King. His Lich King survives. Hits Scacc in the face. Scacc down to 7 health already. One of the tech choices that is different in Muzzy's Taunt Druid to a lot of them, which we haven't pointed out yet, is there's 2 copies of Sleepy Dragon, which is just a little bit greedier, a little bit more value in the
Which is unusual for Muzzy. He tends to be a bit more streamlined when it comes to his decks and less greedy, if anything. But I just want to say there are 2 English players have made it to 7 and 2. Ball Control and Green Sheep, who had a bit of a tussle to get the anchor in the UK HGG. Green Sheep, not somebody we've seen. He must have come from quite a long way back, like 3-2 or something. And Fairley has made yet another top 16. Not really been mentioned much. Another player who must have come from 3 and 2 or 4 and 2. He is having a terrific season already, and power to add here. He's somebody who's going to have to go through later, because he seems like he's been in the final. He's top 8 to the Wild tournament. He did okay, I believe, in Toronto. He did okay in Oslo. A finalist there. So he's having a great season.
I feel like you are going to have a lot to fill us in on, Lorinda, as we go into the top 16. You seem to know everything about all of these players, which is nothing unusual.
As long as the 16 players I know keep making the top 16, I will be fine.
Meanwhile, though, Scacc just hanging in there to face Muzzy's onslaught. Muzzy doesn't have the armor to attack with the Ironwood Golem, so Scacc not quite dead just yet. He will have Gul'dan coming down next turn with a Doomguard, with Void Lord, with some Void Walkers. So he may be stabilizing just for a moment, but he has to get there first. He can't obliterate the Sleepy Dragon, he just dies. Thanks to Obliterate effect.
That's kind of unfortunate. Oh, he pointed something at it. I got excitable.
This he can do, though. What is it with Sleepy Dragons being cubes today?
I think it's like a good card to do it to. But Muzzy is going to be in a great spot. And this is why you play the 2 Sleepy Dragons. Have maximum dragonage for your Dragon Fetcher man.
Yeah, the idea isn't to draw them all, though.
No, that's poor.
That's not really the name of the game.
No. Going to Hearthstone.
And
you knew I was going to say that.
Okay, yeah, okay, thank you, Lorinda. but neither of the Dragon Hatchers are going to do anything, because all 4 of the dragons, both Drakes, both Sleepy Dragons, had been drawn. Yeah,
Scacc didn't get combinations of Giants and Cubes and Doomguards in the right order at all here to really threaten. And when they come later, it's so much worse. He's still going to have a chance to set it up. Mainly because Muzzy's messing around not drawing naturalized, but now he's got Cube going. He's got a really good pool of stuff to fetch back as well with the taunts, like Lich King, a couple of dragons. He's going to be in a decent spot. And yeah, Scacc's decided that time is of the essence with that Hadronox sitting there chilling, and he's just going to go for it right now.
Yeah. Playing a Hadronox out against a Cube Warlock is always a little bit risky. Obviously, Prince Tal'Daram is already gone. But Double Faceless Manipulator is something that you have to consider when you play out Hadronox. Yeah. You don't exactly want your opponent to end up. You don't want a repeat of the game with Aka Wonder versus.
But he won anyway, right? So
the Warlock, sorry, the Druid did win anyway. Yeah.
So maybe the reasoning is, yeah, it goes an extra hour, but you still win, so who cares?
Sure.
Obviously, that's a sample size of 1 game.
That's all you need.
Yeah, numbers. Who cares? 1 game takes all.
I feel like your notes are about to be thrown onto the floor again.
No, they recovered yesterday from RDU's storyline. I've got my own storylines for today now. RDU, of course, winning DreamHack Summer once as a Grand Prix, once an Invitational, twice in the 2 times he attended before this week. It's a pretty good record.
That's very impressive.
And then he doesn't win one, and he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to play Hearthstone. You've won twice out of 2. You're good. Don't worry about it. RDU will bounce back as ever. I have absolute faith.
Time waits for no one.
Muzzy not really making any big progress this turn. He got so close to just killing Scacc turns ago, but not quite worked out. This Wall of Taunts is doing the job for now.
It's not when you kill them, it's if you kill them. That's all that matters.
That's true. Wiser words have never been spoken.
I say a lot of wise words. The trouble is I don't know which ones are wise and which ones are just stupid. That's why I need you here to translate to the audience what I'm trying to achieve.
Those words were pretty wise. Not those last ones, the ones you said
before the ones that weren't.
Yep.
All right, so Muzzy's pool of things comes back, and not the greatest, but the next lot will be with 2 Lich Kings, and he's actually gone for the smaller fetch back here, so that next time it's going to be really good.
If he can get a second Lich King from the next one, 2 more Death Knight cards, that would be ideal.
Yeah.
As Obliterate comes down immediately, Scacc doesn't mind losing 8 health to deal with that Lich King. He's going to gain some back anyway.
But he is going to start running low on cards very soon, is Scacc. He still has the Godfrey ready to go. Extremely important if he's going to win this, but the rest of his hand, he is running out of things to do. His demons are starting to expire. Just trickling away from him at the moment.
Oakheart isn't really going to do all that much now. It's come slightly too late. It will summon a Dragon Hatcher. Problem is the Dragon Hatcher won't.
Yeah, I don't want to host a party if you're slightly too late. Because it'll all be locked, everyone will have gone home. You'll be doing the washing up.
Right, okay. Much too late. Then would be a,
okay. What isn't too late, though, is the likelihood of the Lich Kings
Double
happening.
Lich King.
Yeah.
As we mentioned a few moments earlier, Death and Decay, yes, that's looking good again. Anti-Magic Shell.
Oh, my goodness.
Also looking very good.
Yeah, the extra +2/+2 on 7 minions. Yep. That's +14/+14 for those of you counting at home.
I know I said across the board, Death and Decay tends to be the best one in my eyes, but I think specifically when you bring it down to Taunt Druid, Anti-Magic Shell tends to be just win the game immediately.
When it's Taunt Druid versus something that's actually getting things in the way, particularly, you just push them over the top with this. And obviously when the hero power can no longer target them as well, that's going to be insane for Muzzy. But yeah, he set it up. He killed off his Hadronox with a fairly small pool of minions to give himself a great chance of getting these 2 Lich King cards. And they are going to be what sends this likely over the edge and likely sends Muzzy into the top 16. Casey has hit 7 and 2. Looked like he might not for a while. He went from 5-0 to 5-2 today.
Nice.
But he made it to 7 and 2.
Always good when you can bounce back from a bad start like that.
Twink has just made it to 7 and 2 as well. He's going to be an anchor for his country when it comes to HCT. So another strong player making it through there.
You're listing a lot of 7 and 2s, Lorinda. I'm starting to get a little bit concerned.
It's getting a bit twitchy, I think, if you're 7 and 2. But I'm sure people out there have done the math. There's currently 13 players on 7 wins or more. One of these that'll be 14.
Is Anti-Magic Shell ever lethal this turn? So let's see. He would need to gain armor, but that's fine. He can just hero power. That's a hero power. Anti-Magic Shell. Bump. 6, 12, 18. Swipe would be 22. And then the hero power going in would be lethal if not for the health that is gained from the Apple Bomb. Wait, maybe this way around.
I knew what you meant. It's just, it would be lethal if it wasn't for the fact the opponent had health.
Yeah, right, okay. But with the Death and Decay instead of the swipe, that does do it. And Muzzy eventually takes the win in what was a very tough series against Scacc. But in theory, if what I was told before the series starts, Muzzy has now earned his place in the top 16 cut, doing it once again for his team, Tempo Storm, who continue to, like Fade to Karma, go from success to success.
Yeah, he's got decent tiebreakers. It looks to me like he will get in. I'm still not sure what the cut is. I haven't checked. Yesterday, people were talking in terms of one person would miss. This morning, they were talking in terms of nobody would miss. That varies slightly because there's an odd number of players. There's up floats and down floats. You don't always place on exactly your score. So I'm not going to guarantee you if your favourite's on 7 that they're through, but Muzzy with decent tiebreakers should be, and most of the players we have looked at have got it already. We are getting confirmation that Muzzy is definitely in the top 16. Congratulations to him for continuing his great season.
Definitely, absolutely. incredulously in the top 16. He's done it, which again is huge. You mentioned that Green Sheep and Ball Control just a few moments ago both made it. That's great for the United Kingdom.
It's been a long time since we had two people in the top 16 of anything. I think Ball Control and Ness made the top 16 of Insomnia 56 or something, which was like 3 years ago. But yeah, don't remember two of them doing it at the same time before.
Okay, well, we have one more game left to play in the final round of the Swiss. We'll be bringing that one to you in just a few moments. We'll be right back after this.